Okay, guys, so in the Netherlands, they have thrown the Miss Universe Netherlands pageant, and the winner of the pageant was a transgender female contestant. And that contestant looks like this. The runner-up contestant, who is a biological female, looks like this. This is like what happens if you apply affirmative action to the standards of beauty. This is actually the opposite of the debate about transgender females in women's sports.
Hi, this is Princess Ariel, and I just wanted to comment on the Mrs. Norway who won the pageant just recently here, and it's going on to Miss Universe. And I believe it's 2023, so this year. The walkaway guy posted a video. It just came across my timeline, so I wanted to stitch it just to say I saw someone must have distorted the picture, because clearly you can see that this girl is, drop dead gorgeous and just happens to, identify as transgender. And that the politics behind what he was saying has nothing to do with Norway. We're in the United States. He's a member of the LGBTQ community. It's on his profile. If you look at it, it clearly says the G word. And he's, adding up political rhetoric, against the Democratic Party or whatever. And that's no here nor there, because it doesn't have nothing to do with this girl who was just, rightfully won a pageant. And it's up to the eye of the beholder who is ugly and who is beautiful, because, you don't have to distort someone's picture and then say, oh, it's a biological male, or it's a biological this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the person's not hiding the fact of what they were assigned at birth. She had already clearly said that, she knows what she was assigned at birth. This is how she identifies, and that's the end of it. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is in Norway. And she's going to be in the Miss Universe pageant. And she ain't the first one. There's been several others from other countries who've won titles as well in the past and have competed with the biological female or the cisgendered female or whatever. And they're allowed in the pageant. So you having a little, fit saying she's ugly and this one's pretty and all that is no here, no there. It was a whole entire pageant based on merits and scoring and all of that. Every pageant runs the same, and they're all inclusive. And it sucks to see so much hate in the world and so much political crap that has nothing to do with people's personal journeys and in their lives, because at the end of the day, it's not stopping you from living your life freely as a gay male or a biological male or a biological female. It has nothing to do with you stopping your journey in your life. It angers you because it's something that you don't agree with in your personal belief system, but it has nothing to do with society as a whole, because people live many different ways in this world, and it may not be exactly the way you live your life. So, I just hope that people at some point in their life try to open up their brains, try to be more accepting, and understand that the world is changing, and that, the way you may have grown up in your belief system and your freedoms, they can be snatched just as quick as, a trans person. Your mental health is just as fragile as a trans person. Your way of living is just as fragile as in the balance, just like anybody else. And we're all, regardless if you like it or not, we're all headed in the same direction, and, we're all human beings at the end of the day. We're not robots. We're not replacing anybody. You can't replace somebody. This is not the invasion of the body snatchers or anything like that. These are people's personal lives and personal journeys that have absolutely nothing to do with you. Your right to live as part of the LGBT community, those people of color that you said that you had to walk away from, without them, you wouldn't be sitting in the seat you're sitting in right now, buddy. So you should show a little bit more respect to those in your community of color and those who have fought for their rights. Because I saw what you said in your in your video, and you were just mixing and matching left and right wing agenda and who you voted for and all that stuff, which has nothing to do with Norway. It really doesn't. And yeah, people are going to feel some kind of way about transgender people participating in pageants, but we've always been participating in pageants, behind the scenes when it comes to making your gowns and all that kind of stuff, hand beating. That came from your community of LGBTQ too as well. So, your seamstresses, your makeup artists, we're everywhere. So I don't get the point of trying to distort her photo and call her ugly and compare it to the semifinalists, because if she doesn't make it to the Mrs. Universe pageant, the semifinalist is going to go in her place anyway. So at the end of the day, it's kind of silly to compare apples to oranges when both of them are still representing Norway. And rightfully so, the girl is drop dead gorgeous. And another thing is, I really, it has not really much to do with this conversation, but it has to do with people who believe that, trans people are programming and roboting and changing kids and all of this kind of crazy thing. The girls who really transform themselves to really identify as who they say they are, it costs a lot of money. It's very expensive. And so for you to say that you can, program a child and change them and start operating on them as a kid, it's the biggest lie ever told, because you can't do surgeries or anything as a kid. It doesn't happen. And if it was to happen, where are they going to get the money to pay for it? Because it's not cheap. It takes lots of money to make all of that beauty, glam, what we're looking at is Miss Norway, happen. It just doesn't happen like naturally. You have to work on yourself to achieve the look that you want to have. And I've seen it, I've experienced it, I know what that's all about. It's a lot of money, and it's a dysphoria like you wouldn't believe. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it is what it is. And I just wanted to throw that out there, because a lot of people just assume that, everybody can just overnight, snap your finger and instant beauty. No, it takes many different doctors and cosmetic surgeons and travel and hotel rooms and all kinds of things that you have no idea about. It's psychiatries and things to help you on your self journey. Not all girls are doing that. Some do, some don't. It just depends on who it is. But if you're looking at pageant girls and stuff like that are trans and stuff like that, don't go there, because it is so expensive. You have no idea. And if you looked into it, because there's documentaries out there will just break it down by the dollar amounts that some of these girls put into their looks, it's more than some of y'all's rent and cars and everything else combined. And it's just hate, people just being hateful. I mean, it's just people being hateful. And just being honest, if you don't like someone because of your religious beliefs, or you just don't personally like somebody, just be honest and say, I don't like them because of A, B, C, D, F, G. Don't make excuses around it and try to bring children into it and stuff like that. Because guess what? We were children once too. And I can tell you from firsthand what it was like as a child. Growing up with a dysphoria, it was nothing nice in a community of people, of black people. It just wasn't, and it was very difficult. And while you say you love kids, you only love certain types of kids. You should say that. You don't love the ones that you think they're going to be different. You don't. And I challenge you to go out there right now and love every kid, regardless of how they show up in the world. The ones that are probably going to be in the community, those ones who identify as, biological female or biological male, but that's not what was on their birth certificate. Are you going to love those kids? Because I was one of those kids. Don't come up with those excuses that you don't know what you are, before you're born and all of this. You have all these things in your head. You're just swimming around in your head, but you're not looking into the facts. And the facts are just right in your face, looking at you, saying, hey, this is what happened to me. This is my personal story. My story may not match that girl's story, but it's similar. We still identify as this. But you don't want to hear that. So, the research is there. The medical community is there. The psychological psychology community is there. It's all there for you to see. You don't want to see it. You just don't want to. Just admit it. Hey, I don't care. I don't want to know what the facts are. I don't care what the doctors say. I don't. None of that stuff's important. Just how I feel and my personal agenda to, you know, tap it down is all I care about. Just be honest with yourself, because that's exactly what you're doing and that's what you're saying. But I have news for you. Your mental health is just as fragile as our mental health. Your time on this earth is just as fragile as our time on this earth. And if you waste all your time and all your energy into hating people and not trying to understand, that's on you. You have to live with those types of decisions that you make. That really is what it boils down to. You know, because my existence doesn't affect your existence because we don't live near each other. I don't, you know, shop where you shop. I have no two thoughts about you. The only time I bump into you is when I see you guys online with the nonsense, and it don't be making any sense. You know, but the dangers are that you could give birth and have a child that could end up being different. You know, I don't know about this, you know, Mr. Walkaway, but I don't know if he has kids in his life or not. He might have kids, but what is he going to do if one of them turns out to be trans? Is he going to throw it away? Is it going to be a part of the foster care system? Because when you say you love kids, but they end up in the foster care system, how many percentage of those kids are under the LGBTQIA? I bet there's a bunch. How many of them are out there on the streets right now because they've been thrown out of their home? I bet you there's a bunch. How many of them have attempted suicide as a young person because they can't deal with the dysphoria or whatever's going on in their life? I bet you there's a bunch. So, I don't know, you know, these are the thoughts that I continue to try to climb and hurdle over when I see people saying these kind of things and doing these kind of, like, you know, posts and stuff. It's just really sad to see. But I'm hopeful that eventually there will be some people that try to educate themselves and be more understanding and stop taking everything so personal, like as if somebody's replacing you like the body snatcher. It doesn't work that way. Your personal choices, what you do with your body, is your own, except for the government is telling you, biological females, what you can and can't do with your body. But some of you are still mad at the trans girls. You're not mad at the government telling you what to do with your body, but you're mad at trans people for existing, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't get it. Nobody can replace you. Nobody can body snatch you. Nobody's looks can be compared to your looks. Nobody can take your kid away from you. Nobody can transform you or anything, or your child or anything like that. You're just making that stuff up. There's even no stats on stuff like that. It's just coming up from person to person in a group of you collectively saying the same thing. Don't make it make sense. It doesn't make sense, and it just comes across as very disingenuous and envious and hateful and all of that negative stuff. Stop it. Just stop, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you find me attractive or I find you attractive. I'm not attracted to you. I'm not thinking about you, and you're not attracted to a trans person anyway. So why make a whole post about somebody that you don't even date? You don't date trans girls, so why even go there and compare their looks and all of that? You should be looking at men or whatever it is that you are attracted to, because you definitely ain't attracted to no trans girls because you got a G on the front of your profile. All of this stuff, you guys, is just too much. So it's Princess Ariel, you know. Peace to you guys, and have a wonderful evening. It's just some food for thought. Thank you for listening. Bye.